Welcome back to the Road to a Million podcast. Today I'm with Neil Macer, owner of Urban Werks outside of Philly, Pennsylvania. Neil has scaled his detailing business over the years from a 900 square foot shack to a beautiful 12,000 square foot detailing facility today. And he is now planning on building his own detailing shop in the near future. On this episode, we talk about how Neil got to that 12,000 square foot facility. He is doing well over $1 million. And so there's a lot to learn from him. We talk about finances and balancing investing into your business versus paying yourself. We talk about hiring specifically for a sales guy or a customer service representative on the front end facing part of the business. We talk about website search engine optimization and having a website that actually converts leads. There's a ton of really good value in this week's episode, and I think you guys will enjoy it. Don't forget, you can use the timestamps in the description to skip ahead. And without further ado, let's get right into it. All right, today I'm with Neil, owner of Urban Werks in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Neil, thank you for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Thanks for having me.
You're right outside of Pittsburgh, too?
No, not Pittsburgh. I'm, I guess you could say outside of Philadelphia. I'm about an hour and a half outside of Center City, Philly. Pittsburgh would be like 3.5 hours, maybe 4, depending on traffic from me.
Okay.
Yep. Yep.
Cool. Well, man, yeah, thank you for coming on the podcast.
Absolutely.
And I wanted to start out by asking, how did you get started doing detailing? I've got down that you kind of started this back in 2014. Is that right?
Yeah, I started my business in 2014. I've been detailing prior to that. It was mostly how most people start out, doing it for friends and family. And I used it as a bartering chip for a couple of used car dealers to get my foot in the door and to get a car that I wanted for a little bit cheaper. Not the usual story for some folks, but that's kind of the gist of where it all started for me early on. And then, yeah, 2014 is when I started my business here in Lancaster.
Hmm. So you were bartering to get a better discount on a car you were looking at?
Yeah, I bought an S4 that I wanted, and I bartered him down like 3 grand, and he let me come in and detail a couple of cars, and I wanted to do it anyway because they had a bunch of the hot stuff at the time: S4s, STIs, Evos, GTRs. So I mean, as basically like I think it was my senior year of high school. Yeah, it was my senior year of high school. So in the summer after my junior year, going into my senior years, when I kind of walked in this dealership. I'm like, hey, like this car's been sitting here for a while. I'll do it for this price, and I'll come in and detail a couple of cars for you guys over the month. And for me, it was just fun, and I got to experience cars. I got to experience what it's like in a used car dealer that deals with some higher end stuff. I call it the hot stuff, like what was selling for, younger guys and sporty stuff and all that, and just got me used to it and got the car I wanted at the time. And yeah, it's kind of actually it's where I first learned how to do like paint corrections and stuff. They had a guy there that taught me how to use rotary and a couple other odds and ends. And yeah, that was like maybe like 2010 ish. And then yeah, just kind of snowballed from there. Honestly, starting the business it wasn't a preconceived thought. It was just more like I knew I didn't want to do what I was doing, which I was working at Starbucks as like my main job, and I felt like I kind of like just topped it. Like I mean, I was doing everything. I could do everything 10 times faster than the book told you to do it, and I knew I could do more. Didn't know what I wanted to do, and then saw a building for rent, and dude, literally within 60 days, I started a business. It was like no planning, no putting work into customer like acquisition prior to. It was just like, here's the name of the business. This is what I want to do. I had forethought of like, a lot of people ask, why did you name it Urban Works, right? Urban Works has nothing to do with cars. I never wanted to do like a car silhouette for my logo or do any like tools that had to do with it. Like I wanted something that if I ever ended up not doing this, I could do something else and I could still use that name. And that was kind of like my best thought at the time. And yeah, opened up a 900 square foot shack, as I called it, right in Lancaster. And yeah, that's kind of that's kind of the gist. There's really no other
Hmm.
like gory details to how I started the business. Everything gory happened in between then and now. But starting it was just kind of on a whim.
So you pronounce the city Lancaster, not Lancaster?
It's all however you want to say it, man. Lancaster, Lancaster. I call it Lancaster. Like it's just the way I've said it my entire life. Yeah, it's there's all those cities right there. They're like, oh, you have to pronounce it right. Like I don't know, whatever. We're known for Amish people and like being a cool place to retire.
That's funny because we are too. Amish, a lot of Amish down here.
Dude, we're like the number one, I feel like, spot for Amish. And I get so many people that are like, what's it like? And I'm like, I don't know. They hold up traffic and they sell you some pretty good produce. Like,
They're the hardest workers, man.
oh,
Like
yeah, they'll
them,
build a
them
house.
and the Mexicans are the hardest workers.
Yeah, they'll build a house in a day. They'll move homes. I've seen that happen a couple times. Like,
Yeah,
do some pretty gnarly stuff. So, yeah.
yeah, all top quality stuff.
Mhm.
Well, cool. So you were working at Starbucks, kind of from that time in high school, then to whenever you went full time,
Yeah, which
doing
again,
this.
I was 21 when I started my business in 2014.
Okay. Do you remember what your rent was back then?
$900. No, when it started, it was 800.
Hmm.
Yeah, it was $800 a month.
About $1 per square foot. So
Yeah, yep.
that's
And dude,
crazy.
it was a shack. It was a shack.
So you just took the leap. Like,
hmm
did you know that you were going to have customers lined up? I mean, I imagine you were doing a little bit on the side there.
I opened my doors with nobody on the books. Legit. I poured everything I had into it. Um, I was I still living with my parents? I think I was still living with my parents. I started dating my girlfriend, now wife, like my 21st birthday, a couple months after that, and then in September I opened my business. No customers on the books. Pretty sure I was living with my parents still, and then we got an apartment together from there, and kind of like that's when my life kind of took like a different route. But yeah, man, like literally day one, no customers. I just went in, opened my door, put the sign up, put open, like did all the things right, and then did what I think anyone should have been doing at the time, which was jumping on Instagram and Facebook and like sitting at my computer and like, I wonder, TikTok wasn't out then, but like, I wonder what new app I should put myself on or like what, how I could differ myself from everyone else. Like, I'm sure you know about Manheim, right? Like the auto auctions.
I
Well,
don't.
you don't know about Manheim Auto Auction? That's
No.
crazy. So Manheim Auto Auction is the biggest auto auction in the country, and they have a Manheim everywhere, like in every state. There's usually multiple Manheims, and they're auction houses basically where cars come in and get auctioned by dealers. Well, it all originated in Manheim, Pennsylvania, which is literally 15 minutes up the road from me. And when I'm telling you that there's thousands and thousands and thousands of cars coming through Manheim, like there are a ton coming through. So there's tons of recon shops up there, as they're called, recon shops. And I mean, they'll push out 300 cars a week. It's not uncommon for that to work, but it's a conveyor system. So there's, like two guys here, two guys here, two guys here, and the car is moving through. They're taking sides, whatever they're doing. Like, oh, you do two doors and a fender, you do two seats in the back, or whatever. Like, these cars got to get out, right? People are used to that stuff around here. Well, I don't want to be that. That's not who I want. I don't want 300 cars a week. That's ridiculous. I want freaking a few percent of that, and I want them to spend X amount way more than the $50 or whatever they're charging per car up there. So I had to kind of differ myself from them. I had to see how I could make myself seem different and be different and just do better. And that took some time to kind of be like, yeah, I'm not a Manheim shop. Don't come to me expecting that. Like, I'm not going to have your car done in 45 minutes. Like, this is a 4 hour job or whatever it might be. And we offer more of an experience and more of an exclusive kind of feeling to our business. So yeah.
So you always kind of had that to compare to and like to be better than. That was kind of your competition in a sense that you were trying to be more unique and set yourself apart from.
Yeah, I mean, I hate the word competition, but I would just say just like it left room for education. Like I was able to educate what detailing was and what protective, services are versus just, I'm trying to get my car clean and literally as fast a time as possible, and I really don't quite care how you do it.
Mhm.
That's the Mannheim way, like I'm not getting dirt out, so I'm spraying carpet dye. Like I'm putting filler wax on stuff. I'm doing all these things to make the car appear better for the next 15 minutes. Whereas I'm trying to put effort into the car to make sure that it looks better for way longer than 15 minutes. You know what I mean? And just to give a customer like a better experience. Up there, the guy doing the work on your car probably missing a few teeth, out a cigarette hanging out of his mouth, but boy, can he run a rotary faster than anyone you've ever seen. That's just the way it goes, man. But there's a line in the sand between them and me, and it's been 11 years of me getting that distance greater and greater and greater, and I've done a good job of it. People do not. I mean, we are known to be one of the most expensive shops in the area for what we offer. But when folks walk in my showroom, they know 100% why. They don't even need to really talk to me. They can just see online. They can see our Instagram. They can see the shop. When the moment they even get close to the showroom, they're like, "Got it. Yep, I understand where I'm at. This is not like any other shop I've ever been to."
Mhm. Yeah, your showroom and your waiting area. I think you've got like a racing simulator in there, and you've got some pretty nice furniture. And do you even
Yep.
have like a display car in there?
Yeah, we can hold 3 cars typically in the showroom, depending on what they are and how big they are. Like older cars, we can do few more. Typically, there's always a GT3 or a Ferrari or an old classic of some sort. We had DeLorean for a while in there, just something to kind of break it up and make it fun. And then, yeah, we have a racing sim. We have a lounge area with a full like whiskey bar and a couple other top shelf liquor for folks to try. They never really do, but we offer it up to them, and the occasional person will crack a shot of this, or sit down during like a maintenance wash or something at the end of the day, or they have a friend picking them up, and we have refreshments and stuff for them, and just makes it more of like a cozy environment. I get the comment a lot that the vibe is kind of perfect. It's just like it's not too masculine, it's not too feminine. It's enough to make everybody feel welcome, which is really important to me. I don't like that our industry feels male dominated, and in a sense, not just from the people that work in it like us, but like the customers. It seems that like females just kind of have to step back a little bit because they just don't feel quite as welcome in anything automotive. And I hate that. I want everyone to feel included and to give them the opportunity. So like we don't treat anyone any different. We like to make the vibe the same. Even if a woman wants to come in and talk about servicing her car, or she's here to pick up her somebody that's getting one done, like we want it to feel welcoming. So we try to do a good job with that.
Hmm. How big is your shop now?
12,000 square feet.
Okay, so did you go right from the shack to this?
That's the gory details. I went from a 900 square foot shack to partnering with somebody that was a horrible decision, and I'll tell anyone in the world not to partner unless it's like your lifeblood and like there's just some unique connection, like brothers or best friends that just happen to like click really well. Oftentimes partnerships there, people are looking to fill a void, and that doesn't always work, and that's kind of what I was doing at the time. So I partnered with somebody, moved into like a 3,000 ish square foot shop, moved into another 3,000 ish square foot shop. We broke it off. I went back to my shack. We had both locations at the time. Went back to my shack, and then knew that 3,000 square foot wasn't going to do it. Knew that 6,000 square foot wasn't going to do it. So then I went and looked at like eights and nines and tens, and then I stumbled across the place I have now, and I was like, you know what, this is kind of a jump, but I'm going to do it, and I'm going to figure out how to make it work. And the moment I did was the moment my business changed, because I was able to finally have the space that I needed to execute exactly how I knew I wanted to, like having the showroom, having the waiting area, having a plotter room and space for all of my guys and for all of our gear and stuff, and having plenty of shop space and event space. And it was a good move for the price. People would probably, look at the price of rent for buildings like this and first off and be like, wow, that's really out there. And like, how could you even do that? But if you want to, how I always kind of say it is this business is a plan A for me, and there's no plan B. That way, I put everything I can into plan A. So I'm trying my best to make this work, and so far, it's doing a damn good job of it. And we just grow year after year after year.
Do you remember what year it was you moved into the new place?
I think 2021 was when we signed the lease. It was right after COVID. It
Mm,
was an up and down for everybody.
yeah. Do you remember what your sales were that year?
um, just shy of 1 million, I think. Don't quote me, but I think it was just shy, like 800 or something, in that neighborhood per se, maybe even a little less than that. COVID was kind of a shit show for us, kind of hit us a little hard, but we were able to kind of rebound pretty good. It just felt like we weren't, how should I say it? We weren't prevented from working, so like we were able to kind of keep it going, and we knew we needed a space anyway, so we just tried everything we could to get in, and that year was obviously pretty bad for us, but then 2021 was on the upswing, and then from pretty much there till even now, we've just been on an upward trajectory, I should say.
Hmm. How much was the rent at the new shop?
So like I think when I started here, it was like 12 grand a month,
Mm.
so a shit.
So, yeah, so like probably 15% of your total
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
sales.
fuck ton of money. It was not cheap, but it was like I thought of it as marketing dollars in a way. Um, Once you move into a space like this, if you can figure it out, the trust that builds with certain people is insane. And having I don't know. I guess it's kind of like that false pretense of like you drive up in a Lamborghini, people think that you're rich, right?
Mhm.
I guess my building looked like a Lamborghini to some people, and they're willing to bring me everything and anything that they had. Whereas if you looked at my shack, I wouldn't have brought my Lamborghini there. I got them. I got all types of cars there because of reputation. But I don't want to be that guy in the shack. Like that's not what I want. I wanted way more than that. And I presented better than that. People always complimented the building and said that it doesn't look like a shack. And I'm like, well, that's, I put a lot of effort into this, a lot of work into it, making it look the best that I could, but I know I can do better. And that's when we got into this place. But I'll add, I didn't just get into this place thinking that this was going to be the end either. This is this was a pre-thought out plan that I get in here, I spend a bunch of money for whatever the timeline of my lease, and then I'm going to use that as leverage with my bank, which is already very much underway right now, to build our own building, and that's where we're moving to next. Is talking with a builder and our architect and our team of folks that we've kind of put together to look at the next space. And the next space then will be mine. I will own it and I'll pay myself, whatever that, monthly rent or whatever comes out to be, right? And we're looking at doing a 20,000 square foot building and more event space and more experience driven and provide more for our clients than just style protective and detailing services, right? So there's always been a plan. I know that when we first started talking, right, 2014, I had no plan. That was just like, let's just try this and see what happens. I quickly started to develop a plan and how I wanted to do this and what the end goal was. And I don't know that even that next step's the end goal. I think the goal always moves, but that's the next plan. So we kind of knew that going into this place, we wouldn't be here forever. It is like a dream location for us, but we just want to do it, a few times better.
Hmm. When did you realize that you could do this, that this was like going to be sustainable?
I want to say I always knew it could be because numbers don't lie, and if you do any sort of basic math, you can figure out how to make a detailing business work. And I really don't like the word detailing business. I think that it brings a I only wash cars, I only do this, I only do that. You can make money at doing that at scale, depending on your location and all these few factors. But I would say probably like 2016, 2017. I knew I knew I had an itch for this. I knew I could do it. I kept looking in all the wrong places, which I think is a good thing. I think it's a bad thing and a good thing. I learned by trial a lot, and I would, I wouldn't say that I regret all of the things that I've done in the last 11 years, but there's a lot of things that I've learned from and have given me a lot of knowledge into how to operate a business and how to like manage people and do things and things that a YouTube video couldn't teach me or even a mentor couldn't teach me. I need to get through it myself in order to see the other side and figure it out. So I would say like around 2016, 2017, I kind of figured that I could figure this out. That was like right during the time that I was starting to partner with somebody, and I had a lot of bright ideas that didn't work out. But coming out on the other end of that, which was pretty graphic, um, I even still knew like this is going to work and I'm going to make it work even 10 times better than I thought the few years prior. COVID kind of gave me a weird feeling for like a hot minute. But then even after that, like the moment that we were looking at this building, I was like, this is it. Like that slingshot's going to go. And it did 100%. Like I had this weird feeling in my stomach that like 6 months in, we're going to be like 12,000 square feet's nothing. And that is pretty much how it went down.
Hmm. I think that it was Matthew from Harker Heights said that if you build it, they will come. And I really
Yep.
like that saying.
Yep. Honestly, it's very true. Honestly, like I talk to a lot of like you get people on Instagram or you get people at Top of My Cars and Coffee and stuff, and they come in, they're like, "How do I get to be like this? How do I get to do this?" And it's like you need to put your best foot forward all the time, and that comes down to not just your business, like as you drive down the street in your car, but like even the building you're in, like are people going to come to a shack? Like that is something I've learned over the years. Like they would, yes, but there are a lot of people that like I had. Dude, let me tell you what. If you want to get someone to shoot your ego, someone pulls up in an R8, gets out, looks at your building, gets back in, and drives away. You know 100% that they came to you because someone told them to, or they saw something on the internet and they were like, yeah, this looks like the shop I want to go to. And then they come and the first thing they see is a building and then they drive away because they don't trust that that vehicle is going to be safe there or something. I could only do so much to make that building look good. Just throw paint on it, put plants out front, do the nice open flags, like make sure my parking lot's sealed and has fresh painted lines that like I did myself, right? Like everything was to the best of my abilities. Still didn't win some jobs, and that sucked. Like to me, I was like, this isn't going to work. Like this isn't a business, this is a freaking passion and a hobby. I need to make this a business, and to make it a business I need to go into a proper location. And that's what I mean. And like you said, build it and they will come. That's what I did.
Hmm. Do you remember what your sales were in 2016, 2017, whenever you
Oh,
guys were starting to you realize that this could be a full-time thing?
I think it was like just under half a mil.
That's pretty good.
It was decent. Like it was. We were spiking pretty good. Um, I like. I know how to run a business pretty well. My partner at the time had zero idea how to run a business. It was like one of those just like catch-all things. Like, oh yeah, we'll do that. We'll do this. We'll do that. We'll do this. Like no software, no nothing. Like yeah, QuickBooks and Google Calendar. Like, no, that that doesn't work. So like we were kind of hitting a ceiling pretty quick. You know what I mean? Plus having somebody that has a spending problem also doesn't help either. So like, you doesn't matter how much you sell, if your expenses are right there, it's what's the point of doing this, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think we were in like 2017. I want to say it was like four something, 450, 475. Like, and I was like, damn, like that's pretty cool, right? I mean, really, I was like, man, we should be doing $10 million. But then I look at the numbers and I'm like, all right, that's like decent. Like, all right, like we're pushing some stuff, but um, yeah, it was a time, and again, that was a lot of learning back then. Like, there's a lot of things then that doing washes for I don't know, like $75 or $50 or something like that. And it was just like, you thought you were doing it really well, and then you get to now, and it's like, yeah, you want to wash, like it's $125 for a coupe. It's 175 for a truck or an SUV. And like even then I'm like, damn, we don't want to do this. Like this doesn't make us money, right? And like it's those things that you don't know 8 years ago, 6 years ago, or whatever that you do now, and you're like, damn, that would have made a huge impact on my sales if I would have done that, this then.
Now, were you offering paint protection film or window tinting or ceramic coatings back then?
Coatings, yes. Tint, yes. PPF, eh. We were just getting into it. Couple vinyl wraps here and there. That was still like, and that was an outsourced thing. Tint was an outsourced thing at the time. But we had like tinting was like 3 or 4 days a week. We had a company in that had like a few mobile guys on their team, and they came out and did it for us then. But and that's like I saw pretty early on that tint was like a good business to be in. Has its headaches and stressful stuff, but it was a good business to be in. I was very reluctant to PPF. I didn't want to offer it, early on. Now, like if I had to choose a service, it'd be PPF. Like for myself to do, I really enjoy installing PPF. It's probably one of my you know at night when you just put on music in the shop and just throw a full front on something. Like it's just fun. It's super, super engaging and just like satisfying. Coatings were definitely still on the up and coming thing. Back then I felt like there were some shops that were just pushing them out. And for us, it felt like it was just educating. Um, and then it kind of went up from there. We switched to Geon coatings, I think 2016, and we never looked back since. And that's been a good move for us for sure. But at the time, we were trying a whole bunch of different brands and trying to figure out what worked for us, and weren't really happy with some of the results and all this stuff. But yeah.
Hmm. And then, so do you feel like adding paint protection film um, really helped to scale your business to that next level, or was it scaling window tinting as well?
Anything film. Vinyl, I shouldn't say anything film. Vinyl is a different world. Definitely a cheaper clientele. Tint's also a cheaper clientele too, in some instances, but it's changing. And some people are really understanding the value of like ceramic tint, and I call it ceramic plus to try to like bridge that gap for clients. But like the higher end ceramic films, and then same with paint protection film. Paint protection film is an immediate way to make money. I mean, considering if you do a full detail on a car, right, top to bottom, et cetera, let's say you're at 4 or 5 hours into that car. Well, if I can do a full front on a car in 4 to 5 hours, dude, that's, what I mean, you're going from what, $500, $600. Let's say you're even higher end shop and you're charging $1,000 for 4 to 5 hours. I'm still at 2,500 for a full front. I'm making more money. The material cost is, a little bit higher than a detail, but you're gonna make your money back on that car. 9 times out of 10, you're gonna sell that customer on something else, coating, window tint, regular maintenance, whatever it may be, right? And whoever's doing the install is not slaving away on that car quite like they would when they're chasing, melted crayon in the back of a van, or doing that, what I mean, or doing something they don't want to do. PPF can just be that, that kind of like golden ticket. Window tint too, right? Like I can do, let's just say, a $500 ceramic window tint job in 2 hours. Well, I mean, is that worth it to comparing to a $500 detail that took you 4.5 hours to do? So, I mean, from a business owner standpoint, yeah, that's like the number one thing. Film has always been the number one thing to try to get you, into that 7-figure mark, right? 1 million, 2 million, 3 million. Film's going to do it. The only way you're going to do that is, without it, is a coating. And I just don't see coatings ever replacing PPF. It's quite possibly the other way around. And, it's just, that's the way I see it.
Hmm. It's we don't offer paint protection film, but it's interesting because I have a lot of guys on this podcast that tell me exactly like what you just said. Like they were doing around the $400,000 mark, maybe a
Hmm.
little bit more, and then they started offering paint protection film, and now paint protection film makes up half their business,
Yep.
and is the reason why that they got over that $1 million mark. Um,
Yeah, 100%. And
However, it is interesting, like for the guys like me that are maybe just now getting into it, because if you're only getting into it for the money, I've always felt really weird about that. I think that you have to be really careful if you're just getting into anything for the money, because I don't know. I think in one sense it can become oversaturated, right? If everyone's now getting into it for the money, it's harder to really get behind it and stuff. So, I mean, for you, was it about the money, or was it more as like this is like a product that's actually going to like solve our customers' problems?
I would say both, 100% both. I am not a traditional salesman. I'm an educator guy. I educate. I teach. That is like I'm will not be the guy to call you 15 times after you've submitted a lead and trying to sell you, sell you, sell you, sell you, sell you. I'm going to call you up. I'm going to ask you what you need, what you're trying to accomplish, right? I just bought my dream car. Cool. All right. What are you looking for? I need to protect my vehicle. Great. Do you have a budget in mind? Yes. I don't want to spend more than like 2 grand. Perfect. I'm going to tell you that we should do film on everything we possibly can on that car within budget, because that is the number one product that's going to actually protect the car. We could coat that car and you're going to love a coating, but I would rather you chase a little stain here or there throughout the car than deal with like the whole front end of, I'm going to say a Tesla because, it's basically a doorstop going down the road. Like that whole front end is going to get destroyed. It's going to be worth nothing. This is the product that's going to solve that. I also think that, with it, and I'll agree with you in a sense that like I wouldn't want to just offer something just for the money per se, but like I want to give someone value, right? And paint protection film, there's good installs and there's bad installs, and there's everything in between. And of course, that like we're paint protection film installers, not paint perfection, installers, film installers. Like this is meant to be like a protection, but we can still get a really good result out of it and make it pretty invisible and give you, that sense of peace going down the road, right? Like not having to worry about your vehicle. That was the part that I thought was really cool, because ceramic coatings for years were like, oh, we're going to protect your paint. And it's like, no, you're not. You're going to help make it clean. You're going to help, maintain the finish. You're going to maybe help with some staining, depending on the coating and this, that, and the other thing. But like, you still got to put a heck of a lot of effort into that vehicle. Paint protection film, I can put your whole car on it. You can go through a touch car wash a bajillion times and then pull the film off, and the car looks great underneath. You're getting a lot of value for that money. Um, and of course, like, the money side makes a huge difference for us too, right? Like, yeah, when you're talking 500,000, then you jump to 1 million because you're starting to sell all these 2,500, 5,000, $10,000 jobs. But it also is just like it's within our wheelhouse, right? Like if I'm tinting your windows, and then you're going to another shop to get PPF, and then you're going to another shop to get a ceramic coating, and then you're going to this shop to get maintenance details. Well, why wouldn't you want to offer it all? Why wouldn't you want to be the all-in solution for your client? And even still, like, I don't paint cars, but like I have that guy, right? Like ready to go. I want to be that person for my clients. Like, hey, I want to sell my car and bring a trailer. Can you do that for me? No. But I have somebody, and we'll make sure that it's a seamless transition for you between us and them so that you have the best experience possible, right? I'd love to offer that service, but it's just not something I can do right now. That's kind of how we're, paint protection film was with me too. Like, oh, I don't do it, but I do have, people that I would recommend you to. And then I was like, damn, this is kind of dumb. Like, I should probably look into doing this myself. I'm pretty good with my hands. I know how to do this kind of stuff. I've laid vinyl over the years for my own stuff. Like, I could probably do PPF. Got into it, got pretty dang good at it. Noticed that my local competition was not really doing that good of a job. Damn, okay, well, like I could step in and be the solution for my customers, offer them a great solution, see better cars, work on, clients who just bought a brand new vehicle, which is a great time to get them in your door, and it works out for everybody.
Yeah, a lot of it's just the education part too. Like we had a customer. who has had their Hummers, their EV Hummers, detailed a few times, and they the last time we were detailing them, they had a huge scratch down the side of it, and it's that painted matte finish, and so that can't be buffed out, and so we explained that to them. And they didn't know about paint protection film, or if they had heard about it, they just didn't really see the value in it. But now they can see. It's like, okay, to fix that, it's going to cost a lot more than just getting the paint protection film. And so I think for all the guys like myself that are just doing detailing, you take all your customers that are just detailing customers, and then just talking to them about it, because it's still a relatively new service, right? Um, and explaining it, especially if you can show them stuff like that, whether it's rock chips or etchings or scratches, and be like, yeah, that's gonna have to be repainted. But in the future, paint protection film is something to solve that.
Yeah, 100%. Paint protection film is a very valuable thing, and it's not valuable for everybody. You buy a new Mitsubishi Mirage, it's probably not the most valuable thing to you, seeing as how your car is like one of the cheapest vehicles to purchase. But with the other side of that, if it's your dream car and you want to protect that car, what are you going to sell them, right? Ceramic coating? You're going to sell that in full like you're going to back that 100%. That's the best thing for them to put on the car for protection. uh I'm not sold on that. You know what I mean? Like whether it's a GMC or a Ferrari, like paint protection film is the solution, and it doesn't have to be the whole car. It can, I mean, it can be a front bumper, it could be a full front, it could be just the fenders, whatever it might. I had guys that come in there like, I just want it on my headlights. Well, that's fine. You really want to protect your headlights, obviously, like you really care for them. Like it has value to you. Ceramic coating isn't going to provide you what you want. And I'm not saying that ceramic coatings aren't great. I love ceramic coatings. I would never own a vehicle that's not coated. I want to make that very, very clear. But I'm very biased. And if you're looking to protect a car, you should look at film. You should look at something tangible that can be replaced and provides the same kind of protection that a phone screen protector would provide for your $1,000 cell phone.
Hmm. I want to go back a little bit. Talking about finances, you have quite the shop now, and quite a bit of expensive stuff in it. And so, whenever you moved into your new shop in 2021, I'm sure that there was a ton of expenses just buying all this stuff. And even before that,
Yeah.
how do you how did you go about purchasing these things? I mean, were you pretty disciplined in how much money you set aside? I've had several guys in the podcast that took many years before they even paid themselves, and they just banked everything to kind of
Yeah.
use for these expenses and stuff like that. Did you take on debt with it? Did you just pay for it cash? How did you balance that?
I would say both, and I would agree with some of the things that some folks said. It was probably a bad move, but early on, I would definitely not pay myself nearly as much as I should have. Pretty much just enough to get by, and um, I did that reinvesting everything I could into my business. You know what I mean? If I needed to do more advertising, if I needed to change up signage, if I needed to update stuff in the shop, if I needed to bring somebody on that I thought would be a great part of the team, I spent the money there, or I put it aside. When I got this building, I got my very first line of credit with my local, it's not even a credit union, but it's a local bank, and started to develop a relationship with them, which on the flip side, I wish I would have done sooner, because relationships with banks is very important, especially if you're trying to do what I'm trying to do, which go from paying this much in rent to having a mortgage, with this massive building type of thing. And you're not going to get that by opening a bank account. Week one and week four, you're asking for $1 million or $2 million or whatever it might be. But a $20,000 line of credit, a $50,000 line of credit, whatever it is, I think is a great idea. And that's what we did. We got a line of credit, and I went through the essentials of like, what do we need? And at the time, it was like cabinetry, some Swiss tracks, and not even the whole shop. Like I'm not. I like to use Dynamic Tint over in New Jersey. Ralph, man, he does Swiss tracks everywhere and fancy colors, the whole nine. I'm not spending 20 grand on flooring. That's just not happening. Not in a building that I don't own. But I'm gonna jazz it up a little bit. I'm gonna do a couple things. I wanted to get a new plotter and a new stratus lift and a couple, peel boards, stuff like that. Right, all things that we needed. A couple furniture things, but I'm also pretty thrifty. I can find some pretty cool furniture locally, and I can get creative. Like my general manager, Steve here, he's a certified electrician. So he wired basically the whole building for lighting and music and security system and cameras and like all that, right? So it saved me like 20 grand alone just having him. And a couple of my other guys here, like we're all crafty guys. Like we can figure it out. We painted the place ourselves, rented a $600 lift and did all that. But to answer your question, like, yeah, I got a line of credit. Was it the best move? Maybe not, but in hindsight, like I do think that I should have done it sooner, just so that I started that relationship and got comfortable with credit and how that works. Like I pay for everything with our business with a credit card now, and simply for points. Like I pay off the card, but I'm buying film, I'm buying all this stuff. I mean, unless they're charging me like a 3% fee or something, then maybe it doesn't make sense. But when I'm buying stacked film, I'm using my credit card and I'm getting tons and tons of points for that. And I can use it to send my guys somewhere for training. I can go take my wife out for this and that. Like those are the perks of that stuff. But obviously you got to have some, uh, some some brains behind how to pay your card, right, and not get yourself into a financial bind, which can definitely happen. I mean, some guys just can't handle having cash at their fingertips, and they'll spend it on every single thing possible. And I was the type of person that never wanted to use credit, always wanted to use cash in the bank, and only use my debit card and stuff like that. But if you get smart with it and you can make some pretty good decisions and some pretty good moves, I definitely advise using credit in some fashion.
Hmm. So you think that having that line of credit with that bank has helped whenever it comes to looking to build your next shop,
Yep, yep.
just
It's
having
been part of the
trust.
conversation. I mean, literally, it's been like 2 months ago. I had to sit down with our banker and set the. I mean, I'm also a big guy on your books have to be as clean as possible. You do not want to mess with that. Like, spend the money to make those books look minty clean, because the more you show and the more transparent you are, if you have the right banker, they'll bat for you and they will work with you. And that has been my saving grace. I went in front of our team over here at our local, I think it's Mid Penn Bank is the one we're working with. And they were like, dude, the books look amazing. Like, it's super clean. I'm like, yeah, I know. This is what I want. And like, well, we know we're approving people that have like books that look half this good. Like, well, I'm glad that you're approving those people, but I don't want to know. I don't even want a maybe. I want a yes, and I want a signature, and I want you're approved for X, Y, Z. Let's build. Where are we building? And that's exactly how the conversation went down. And if I wouldn't have had the know-how back then to be like, I need to take these steps that might seem really scary, but are going to set me up for potential success in the future, I want to do it.
Hmm.
And that's what I did. Some of my guys thought, like my general manager and a couple of people in my family thought I was insane. But you know what I mean? Like it was good moves, and they're gonna pay off for me here now. Whereas, I knew it 4 or 5 years ago, whereas most people were, ooh, that's not a good idea. So,
Hmm. How do you balance that with paying yourself? I mean, whenever you have excess, profits coming in, and you're looking at the bank account, and you're like, okay, well, how do I determine when to take a check personally versus there's always something to reinvest in, right?
oh yeah, 100%. Dude, I'm the worst person to talk to about that because I want to put money towards everything. Well, first, I'm a W 2 employee. I'm an LLC taxed as an S Corp, so I collect a W 2. The reason I do that is so that, again, the bank can recognize that I'm like any other person out there, and I can get approved for mortgages and loans, and it makes going to get cars easier. It makes everything easier. Unless I'm trying to do it through the business, right? I'm trying to register a car through the business or buy a car through the business or whatever. Then I'll lean on that side of it. But so I get a check every 2 weeks, just like my guys do. And then when we get, large sums, or, at the end of quarters or end of the year, when we're sitting on lumps of change, I either divvy it up to, some goes to this, some goes to that, some comes to me, some goes to bonuses. We kind of figure it out as it goes by. I'm not the kind of guy that's like every dollar of profit goes into my back pocket, because I am always looking forward to, like, okay, maybe the shop should have this, or what pains do we have here, and how can we improve that. So it's kind of a game for sure, and everyone's a little bit different with that. But I pay myself a decent salary now, I would say. Obviously, I want more. We would always want more. We're humans, and money doesn't always buy happiness, but it buys your time. And that's typically what I'm going for, so that I can spend time doing what I want to do, instead of what I need to do. So hopefully that makes enough sense to your question.
Yeah, I know sometimes I get in my head about it because you start thinking about building or just like, look at a shop like yours and how much money it costs just to like kind of put that together. And it's like, man, there is no room to pay yourself anything. Like that's all got to go into the reinvestment pile for the
Yeah.
next shop,
Yeah.
but that can be dangerous too, right?
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, you got to get creative with this stuff, and you got to put a plan together, and like, you got to run numbers and run formulas, and just kind of figure out where you're going to be. What's the dream schedule look like? What's the dream month looks like? What's the nut you got to crack every month? How do you reach that nut? And then over that, what do you do with the money that comes in over top of that? And it all plays into it, and everyone's, again, a little bit different. But thankfully, I've had, some good friends in the industry, some solid mentors for sure. They probably, if they heard this, they'd be like, "I'm not your mentor. I'm just like a guy that helps you and you help me," kind of thing. But I have some guys that I would call my mentors that have really set me up for success in certain areas. And I don't find myself successful. I don't think this business is at a success. I think we're growing and we're getting there. And like I said earlier, that goal is always moving. And until I get even, a little bit closer to it, I just don't feel like we're quite there yet. So it's just a, ongoing process.
Yeah, the word success is kind of a funny word. Like, what does that even mean?
Right. Yeah. It's up to whatever your imagination holds.
I think success is more just doing it, man. Like you are successful if you're doing it, whether that's half a million, a million, 10 million. Like if you're doing it and you're making progress and you're giving it your all, that's success.
Absolutely. Yeah. I would agree with that 100%.
Because you don't want to like put it as like, well, when I get to this point, now I'm successful.
Absolutely. Yeah. No. And honestly, dude, I hear it all the time. You're so successful. You're so successful. This business is a success. I'm
Mm.
great that folks think that, but for me, success is this thing, this unattainable goal. And I I like the hunt. I like the drive. I like, the game. I'm not in it for the goal. And I think that's what makes a lot of I don't even want to call it the heavy hitters, but the big players in our industry, right? Like that's what makes it fun is the game. And even when people retire, they sell their shops to Expel, or they do this or they do that, right? Like they're still in it. They're still doing something because they can't just stop. They love the game. They love the drive. They love the hunt for like what's next, right? Like doesn't and I've heard that from clients. They're like, I just got my third Ferrari and I'm kind of like looking for that next thing, that next itch, right? And it's because yeah, it's not the car. It's not the car at all. It's the whole process of getting to that next level, that next whatever it might be. Oh, I got a 360 and now I want a 458 and now I want to, jump up to an F8 or whatever. Like they're going down this path, and it's the same thing with us, right? We're always looking at that next shop, that next team member, that next ad campaign, that whatever it might be, right? And oh, maybe once I get there, I'll get to this. Well, dude, let me tell you, once you get there, you're thinking of the next thing, and you're thinking of the next thing, and there's never an ending to this. And until you realize that, like, that's what you love, that part of it, then like, you know what I mean? Like maybe that's what success is for you. You're like, oh man, like I've just successfully determined that I love the hunt. I love the game. I love, all the gory stuff in between. Um, yeah, that's what I think of.
Are you pretty system oriented? Like, have you always, had goals every year or quarter, and then like systems in place? And do you write that stuff down, or is it all
Yeah.
just in your head?
No. I have a lot of different programs that we use. If I'm talking like goals and strategies and stuff, Google Sheets and Excel spreadsheets for sure. I have a couple different like tools, I should say, that I've created with help of a couple of my mentors and friends, and just kind of like piecing different things together. And then, of course, systems and processes. Like everyone uses, hopefully, some sort of program today. Like we use Your Able. It's not the best one on the market. It's not the worst one on the market. I don't really call it a true CRM, but it does a pretty dang good job. And then we use Go High Level for a lot of stuff. QuickBooks, of course. So I have a couple different tools that I use to try to keep track of things, and then obviously like in-house work orders and a few different paper trails, I should say, a little bit more old school, but it keeps the process going pretty nicely for us. But yeah, I would say in terms of like my goal setup and stuff, it's very rudimentary with Excel spreadsheet stuff and Google Sheets and that sort of thing.
Are you in the day to day of the business right now, or do you feel like you've taken kind of a backseat for more of like management and visionary stuff?
Oh, both. How should I put this? My energy really helps this shop move along pretty smoothly. So I like to spend time checking in on projects, moving through projects, helping solve issues, that sort of thing in the back of the shop. Um, a big, another big kind of saying that I've always kind of latched onto is as a business owner, one of my biggest jobs is to make my employees and I even hate that word employees, my team feel and do better than they even think that they can, right? And like even if my guy is like, I can't do this full hood, right? And I'm not saying that my guy can't do that, but like let's just say he's like, I can't do this hood. No, you can. 100%. I have all the faith in the world that you can. Let's do it. Let's rock it out. That's the energy that I bring to the table on a daily basis. My main tasks are going to be like advertising, Instagram, Facebook, checking all the analytics of things, leads, making sure that that's all coming through the site's working proficiently, talking with the detailers roadmap team because that's who's designed our website, working with them to improve anything we possibly can. I like to refine things. I like to look at percent points and see how we could increase this or lower that or move things around. I'm always moving. I'm always trying to tweak things. I'm not always working on cars. That's typically not what's happening unless there's somebody sick or something else has happened where I need to step in and take care of something. But typically, I'm not working on cars. I'm doing more managerial stuff and trying to push the business further and further and further.
Hmm. How many employees do you have right now?
One, two, three, four, five, six, seven. I have seven employees, and then I have a videographer, two videographers per se. The one guy does pictures as well, that we bring in occasionally to do work, and then I also have a team that I bring in for some vinyl work occasionally as well.
Hmm. Out of your seven guys on your team, not including the vinyl team and then the videographers, what are their roles?
So we have PPF tint. One guy does PPF and tint. One guy does just PPF. I have another guy that's in detailing ceramic coatings, but he's transitioning over to PPF slowly. And then we have two other guys that are in my detail coating area. I have Steve, my main guy up front, so he handles all the incoming clients, and I kind of help him out with that on a daily basis, just because I like to be on the front side of the business a little bit. It does help a lot to build credibility and respect, and build that relationship up front. And we work really well as a team. And then my wife handles a lot of our back end stuff. So she's very good at making sure the website grammatically is correct, that our posts are grammatically correct, that things look beautiful. Email marketing, we use Zapier and a couple other programs, so we like to make sure all that's still in tune, and odd jobs and stuff like that she'll step in and help with. So,
Man, that's an important role right there for your wife.
she, let me tell you, she, I'm like 3.0 GPA. She's like a 4.2. And it is like a different world for her. I'll type something up and she'll be like, that is so butchered. I'm going to go through and just beautify that. And like grammar is huge for her. And it's great. Honestly, like even in my early business, like when I started dating her, she was going to the local college that's pretty well known in the area, F&M, and they want to be an Ivy League school. They're not, but they really want to be. And she did very well there. And I've just always like leaned on her for stuff. I'm like, hey, like I kind of need to write this email. I'm trying really hard. Like I put it together, and she'll be like, all right, you didn't do too bad, but let me make this a little bit better. I'm like, wow, that looks so good. And like it's just nice to have that person on your team, because like we're detailers, right? Like we don't know what everything's gonna professionally look good and sound and all that stuff. And she's taught me a ton over the years. Let me tell you, a ton. She's been a huge asset. And she handles a lot of cool stuff for me, like the email marketing, and we get a really good open rate on our emails. And I think it's because she puts passion into it. She's not just using Chat GPT. Not to say that that's not great for guys that don't have someone like my wife on the team, but it's more personal. It adds a nice little flair and touch to it. So having a woman's touch on some stuff is great, and having somebody that's grammatically not challenged like myself is also really essential on the team.
When did you hire Steve, your front end guy?
um 2017, 2016, like right before slash right when I was partnering up with somebody. Yeah, he super weird. He literally just like stopped in my shop one day. He moved out this way. He was looking to get a new job and do something different, and we just kind of became latched at the hip. He's become a really great friend of mine, and we do a lot together, and he's been a huge asset. And he's worked in a lot of different industries over the years, and he didn't want to do electric work anymore. He was tired of climbing up 40-foot ladders to the roof and running wire and doing this and doing that. So, yeah, he started working with me.
Was he always the front end guy, or did he just do like detailing at first?
No, he actually never even started detailing. He basically came in and was like, I've worked in businesses where we've had systems and processes and these types of things, and I think I could offer a pretty good value here. And we were like, all right, like you seem pretty cool, like he had an idea. Let's bring you in. So we brought him in, and literally within like the first month, he really did help improve productivity and a couple systems that he put into place and some paper trails. And he just kind of like really refined some things for us. And from there on out, it's just been an upward trajectory of how we can constantly improve. And I needed somebody like that wasn't just like stuck in their ways. Like if I go to him and I'm like, hey, I think we should switch our software. He's not going to be like, oh shit, this is going to cause a huge issue for me. He's like, all right, why? Like, what's it going to do? How is it going to provide us value? And what cons is it going to bring too, right? And we'll go side by side. What's it going to do? How's it going to be better, right? And if it ends up at the end that it's not good, we're both like, cool. All right, that was not something we wanted to explore. On the other hand, maybe it would. And then we're both, all right, cool. Let's jump into this. So yeah, he's been a huge asset for us, I'd say.
Now, does his role also entail communicating with the PPF and the detail guys,
Yeah, 100%.
like what the customer's expectations are?
Yes, 100%. Yes, and that is probably a huge thing that a lot of people struggle with. Yeah, so he's what I call front of house, just like a restaurant, right? Front of house, back of house. He has to communicate to the guys exactly what he has basically told the customer we're going to provide. And he knows how to do that very well. He knows how to set expectations, and then we kind of leave it to the guys in the back to blow the expectations out of the water. And that works pretty well, I would say 99.9% of the time. Obviously, there's always going to be a communication error here or there, or something comes up, a hiccup here, or something. But yeah, that's his job is intaking those clients, talking to them every day, calling leads, dealing with anything that kind of comes through those front doors, and then taking that information into the back. So
Hmm. Yeah, that seems more and more like another important part of scaling from
yeah,
the six-figure mark to the million mark.
yeah. My one mentor, my actual mentor, was like 85 years old. Very, very good man. And he's always said that getting to a million doesn't really take a plan. It just takes passion. You can get to a million pretty quick, but getting past a million takes a plan. You got to know what you're doing. You got to be really educated on your decisions to do that. And honestly, like I've seen some shops get to that million mark without having much people up front per se. Like you still have your phone and your earpiece or whatever hooked up, and you're taking calls and all this stuff. But um, getting somebody up front to handle all of the customer intake, you'd be amazed at how much. I mean, I don't know how your shop works now, but if that is something that you guys have or you're looking to do, but for us, like the amount of work that you can get by just doing that is pretty amazing. Your close rate will be tenfold what it was before by just having somebody up front that's constantly answering the phone. They're not in the middle of buffing a car. They're not, doing a quick wipe down or whatever. Now he does do like he'll walk in the back and do checkovers right on cars. And I've known a couple other shops that do this where their front guy will be a part of the check process at the end because they sold the job, right? Like they need to be educated enough to know what to look for. And if there's something that like was missed, right? Let's say they sold a full front in a car and they threw in a luggage strip as like the selling point, which can happen all the time. A little thing here and there makes all the world of difference. And they come back and they look at the car and the luggage strip is there and they're like, sweet, you did the thing that, the lasting impression that that customer had is I'm getting a luggage strip too. That needs to be there. And if it's not there, well, he caught it. We can throw that on quick. It'll be good to go at 4 o'clock. It's 1 o'clock, whatever. We have plenty of time. So it's an important part. If you don't do that, then there just leaves a lot of communication error that can come up. Oh, well, Steve said that you were going to touch up these spots before you put film on, and you didn't do that. And said you were going to do rockers, but in fact, you did rear quarters. Like, what's going on here? Like, you know what I mean? Like there's all these variables that could come into play. And I think that's a really, a strong point is to have someone up there that's talking to customers, educating customers, selling, but, honestly educating enough to make that sale, right? And then setting expectations and then going to the back of the shop and making sure that those expectations are met. He's got a reputation, right, to uphold with the customer. So it makes sense to be a part of that. Why put another person in between or no person in between or no process like that? It wouldn't work very well, in my opinion.
Hmm. What do you notice about Steve? Like, is there certain character traits that he had that makes him a good fit for that role?
Um, Personable, able to understand flaws in themselves and other people, able to read people, right? Like I would say I'm a pretty good person as far as reading people and understanding what somebody's intentions are and what they're looking for, and I can kind of set the tone based on how I feel like that person is, and he can as well. So and just being like good with your words and just good at communicating with people. I think that's a really strong suit. I don't think you have to have like a nature of selling or anything, but like customer service is it's not a crazy thing. It's understanding someone's needs, letting them talk, giving them, a good response in terms of like what you think they might need or what they're looking for, right? And that's kind of it. But I do think that a person like that needs to have self awareness and needs to be aware of other people and their team and what you're strong at, what you're not strong at, right? Because it all plays into the game of what we're doing here. And if someone's just up there to sell, just to sell, book, that's gonna bite you in the butt eventually, right? Like if that person's only paid on sales and like they're just gonna sell, well, they're gonna screw you eventually. Like you're gonna get yourself into a pickle, and that's not what you want. You don't want your guys getting frustrated. You don't want your customers getting frustrated. Like you want an even balance. You need someone to understand what that balance looks like, and that I think takes awareness. Like awareness is just it's something that I guess could be taught, but in reality, it's something that you already have and you just kind of refine year after year after year. And I think it's something that he's done a pretty good job of doing.
Hmm. Cool. Are you guys running ads?
Yeah, not like we do Google ads and we do. I guess that comes with like YouTube and a couple other things out on the internet, right? And we don't really do too much with Meta right now. We're not a huge fan of that. I know some people are. We haven't really seen too much of a good return on that, so we spend most of it on Google and YouTube and stuff, and then that's kind of it when it comes to ads. I would say our website is probably the number one thing that converts people, and we spend a lot of time with SEO, Google Maps, and doing all the things over the years that a lot of people kind of let kind of fall at the wayside.
Mhm. Yeah, the guy that helps me with our ads, both Google and Meta, he said that Google is like a slow burning wood stove
Yeah,
where it might take a little bit to get it going, but once it gets going, it just burns.
yeah,
and
steady. Yeah,
and then Meta is like a bonfire, and it can take a while, but once it starts, like sometimes it's on fire for a month, but then it's out you know like that, like it's just
hmm
turns off, and then you have
yeah,
to go in and change it.
yeah, 100%. That's how I felt with it, and really strange. We every time we would do Meta, it felt like Instagram's a little different, Facebook more so with this, but um, we would get a lot of older folks and we would get a lot of just people not really within our customer like demographic. And you can go in and you can dial that in as much as you want, right? And then you really start to hone in and then you're not really getting much. And then you start backing it off and you're gonna get people you don't want, and it just always seemed like we were just trying to play this game and it never really worked. And like you said, it could be a crazy bonfire, but you're not getting good leads. Like you're getting a bunch of them suck, some of them are good. Is it worth it? Probably not. Sort of thing for us. And then with Google, there's more intention behind it, right? Like you're looking for something. On Facebook, you're just getting slammed with things that you might be interested in, which works sometimes, right? Like I bought stuff off the TikTok shop and off of Facebook and certain stuff, right? Because I'd recently been looking up whatever that might be, but I'm not. That's not how it always goes. But if I'm on Google and I'm typing in window tint near me, or ceramic coatings near me, or interested in ceramic coatings and my blog comes up or something, like what I mean, there's intention right there, and those leads cost more, of course, but they're going to probably convert a lot higher than the ones that you're kind of shooting at the hip for.
How important has working with Chris and his team over at Detailers Roadmap been?
Good. I would say that nobody in my area should join with Chris because he's done such a great job with me, and I hope that he blocks those people from ever wanting to use Detailer's Roadmap. But at the same time, I think that DR as a team does a phenomenal job. I think that the price that they charge is worth it. I think that the price weeds out people and keeps some people at bay that probably should just jump and do it because honestly, their sites work and they work tremendously. I drug my feet for like a year. Chris would probably tell you. I messaged him a few times, be like, "Hey, I think I'm interested in doing this. I'm looking at this other guy that was doing beautiful sites, awesome stuff. But I felt like Chris's stuff would convert better. And actually, what pushed me over there was one of my mentors had gone with the other guy for a year or so and switched to Detailer's Roadmap. And when he did that, it was like the same day. I called Chris and I'm like, I'm done. I'm doing it. Like, I'm going all in with you, man. Like, if this guy's doing it, I'm doing it. Like, we're a team with this one. And he was like, that's crazy. That's the easiest sale I've ever had to make. Like, laughing on the phone, because we did the whole like presentation. I'm like, dude, you didn't even have to do this. Like, I was in the moment that my guy was in with you, and he was like, that's hilarious. He's like, well, I'm gonna make it worth it for you, and it was 100%. It was like, I think 3 months it took for us to get everything dialed in, the back and forth for pictures and verbiage and what we wanted. And we were kind of a pain in the ass. Me and my buddy hit him pretty hard with doing some things that he didn't want to do, I think, as far as design wise and a couple things. And he made it a little bit more special for us. And we couldn't be happier. The price is well worth what they charge. And the fact that you can text the team at any minute and get a response, and you have just direct access to people, like that's what I've always wanted. So I'd say they're a huge asset for us.
What special things did you want?
So our theme was supposed to be black, not white. It was never invented to be white. And my buddy asked for it. So I had the firepower and I was like, I want mine white too. And he was like, we don't do that. And we're like, no, we want them white. Like, we need these white. And he did it. And there are a couple other things that we tweaked as far as theme wise goes and design wise. And he was just like, basically, like, nobody's ever asked us to do this. So, like, I don't even know where to start with this. And he was like, all right, like, this is gonna look sick. Let's do it. Like, we're gonna do it for you guys, but we're not doing it for anyone else. That's what he kept saying, and I'm sure he'll do it for somebody eventually. But yeah, that's we kind of just we really pushed him a little bit more. There were a couple phone calls back and forth where I think he was like really trying to get us to not do those things, and we were like, no, we want these things. And in the end, he was, I think, very happy with the result. We were happy with the result. We got one of his Detailers Roadmap Awards at the end of the year we both did, me and the other guy, for our marketing, branding, and like overall like site look and everything. And I think it has something to do with that. And then I know right now they're working pretty closely with us to do like a direct connection between the site and Go High Level, which they haven't done before. And there's some API coding that needs to happen for that. And they had hired somebody on specially for that, or someone that was educated in that, I should say. And they're doing that for us currently right now. So it's one of those relationships where, like, it's not like everything they offer is the perfect solution for you, and they're willing to customize and work with you and give you their education, and they're willing to do stuff. And I think that there's a value there, right? Like, there's always a value of trying new things, seeing what else can work better. They know that their programs work, like their websites work, the way their team works. It makes them money, and it does a great job for us as the customer. But it's just cool to be able to be like, well, could you do this? Could you do that? Do you think this would be beneficial? And they'll be like, hey, I don't know. Like, let's try it. Let's see what works. And I think there's just something to be said for that.
Yeah, I agree. And then also just being responsive, right? Like, how much is that worth in today's day and age? Just having
Yeah.
someone that can text you back at a reasonable amount of time.
Yeah. And it's pretty dang quick. They're not going to text me back at 9 p.m. at night, but they have. That's, what I mean? Like I have zero expectation of it. I know some people might have that, but like, they've honestly been great for me. And I've had things where, stuff broke, or this wasn't working, or I needed them to fix this or whatever. And dude, they're on it. Like, they're ready to go. And there's something to be said for that. And people, they just look at the price tag and what they're buying, and like, oh, like, I have my one buddy. I'm going to send him this podcast because I'm calling him out right now, and he's going to know it. He needs to get Chris to do a website for him. He needs it in the worst freaking way. And what does he do? He goes on the website and sees like, oh man, they have websites for like 10 grand. And I'm like, that's all you're reading. It's all you see is this price tag. You see none of the value. The value is there. I'm telling you it's there. I can show you it's there. Like the amount of leads and compliments and like just all of the stuff that I get from that website, 100%. Like it is worth every dollar that I spend every year or every month for every year. Like it's worth it.
Now, did you notice a significant difference in your traffic, or was it more just like similar traffic numbers, but you were converting more?
Traffic went up, not insane. Like I'm not saying like we went from 500 views a month or visitors a month to 1,000. It wasn't quite like that. It was I think we were at like 400 or 500, and now we see like 7, 8, something like that. Like it's up, right? And every month it's either up or stagnant a little bit, and then kind of does its little thing, right? But the amount of leads that we get through our site compared to what we were getting before is insane. Like, I mean, I'm talking single digits to double digits. And for us, some days it's scary. Like we'll come in and like between the hours of 9 p.m. and 6 a.m. we had like 18 leads. And I'm like, and this isn't just detailing. This is PPF. This is full cars. This is tint. This is coating. This is storage. It's everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, bro, I've got 20 people to call from yesterday. Like, and then it just piles up, piles up, and piles up. So then we got to create a system and how we want to do this, and that's where Go High Level comes into play, and a couple other things. And yeah, I would say that my ads do a good job, but the Detailers Roadmap site, it helps convert. It helps get their information in front of me, and that's at the end of the day, that's what I needed. And I noticed that, like they told me, I'll give it 4 weeks. I noticed that within 6 days. I called Chris and I was like, "This is insane." He goes, "Don't stop calling me. This is not real. This is only going to happen for a little bit." Never stopped. It
Hmm.
never stopped. He called me in December. We launched in September. He called me in December, and he's like doing the review. I think it was December, it might have been November. He does a personal review. You have your team that handles you, and then Chris will do his like follow up. And he's like, "Have you seen the slow season yet? Because like we're East Coast, right? We should see a slow season." I'm like, "No, no, not at all. Like this is not happening." He's like, "Wow, you're kind of like one of the only." I'm like, "No, this isn't. No, you're lying to me. I know your sites do fucking amazing work, and it's doing great for me now." And I honestly could have told you that it was just him because we definitely tweaked our Google ads and our other advertising down at the time because we were spending money on a bunch of other stuff, including the site and doing a couple things in the shop, and we were just trying to change our methods up. And we actually ended up switching to a different ad agency here, like right at the beginning of 2025. Dude, it's been honestly, Detailers Roadmap's been an amazing part of our business. So props to Chris and everybody on that team.
Hmm. Well, cool. He's gonna have to give me a referral code or something, or
Yeah, you should. Yeah,
he's gonna
and
have to give Neil some commission, I think, on all the people that just signed up for for
yeah,
DR.
and I swear to God, if it's anybody in the Lancaster area, I'm coming for you. Getting this territory, but yeah, and there are other guys out there who do a great job too. I'm not saying that Detailers Roadmap's the only solution, but Chris has a pretty good idea of how to do this, and for us, he's been cool.
Now, do you guys follow up with your leads like every day for like
Yeah,
the first week if they're not responding, and then kind of move
yeah.
it to like twice, a few times a week after that on the week two? And
Yeah, we have I think it's like a 4 follow up kind of process that we follow through with, and like you can kind of read people pretty immediately. And I'm not the kind of guy that's gonna go knocking at your door insanely to get you to come and spend money. Like that's just not gonna get me in a good situation. So
yeah,
we feel it out on each person, but yeah, every day we come in, and that's the first thing we do is check our leads, and we just start going through and calling and getting it taken care of and moving through the process, and trying to give every person on the phone the best experience we can, and get them into our doors. Yeah,
yeah. I feel like if you're good at reading people, you can usually tell whether or not, usually within the first phone call or text message back and forth. Sometimes I'm surprised sometimes I'm like,
Yeah.
this person's not booking. And then, you follow up with them and you're like, why am I following up? And then they do, end up being interested. So it's always still worth following up, but still, most of the time, you can tell pretty quickly if this is the kind of person that's interested or not.
Yeah, there's been a couple of those that you're like, this isn't gonna work, and then like for us, they book for like a full body PPF, and we're like, damn, how did that go from like a zero like possible outcome to like 8 grand? Like this is insane. But hey, man, it works, and it just people are people. You just got to kind of play the game, and sometimes it really works out pretty well.
Yeah. Well, man, I'm gonna call it there. It's been good, and I appreciate you sharing and being open, and also,
Absolutely, yeah, not a problem at all. I appreciate being on and chit chatting about business.
yeah, it's always a good time. So I'd love to have you back at some point and do a check in, especially
Yeah,
whenever
sure.
you kind of make some more progress on the shop that you guys are thinking about building. And
Yeah.
I can't wait to see where that goes.
Absolutely, man. That'd be cool. That'd be fun for me too. Kind of do like a look back and just kind of see like, where we were in 2025 and maybe where we'll be in 26, 27.
Is that the kind of the goal for the new place? Is
Yeah, our lease is up in 27. So the bank is very much, and my realtor and like architect team and builders are hoping we can get something moving here quick, so that we can, if we need to build, it's done by the time that we need to be out of here. Because I'm not renewing this lease. I need that next step. I'm itching. You know what I mean? 2021 to 2025. I've been here long enough. I need to get out. So,
hmm,
but yeah,
cool. Well, I look forward to checking in with you then.
cool. All right, man. Appreciate it, Josh. Thanks, dude.
Yeah, thanks, Neil, and thanks everyone for listening.